A very good morning to one and all. This is Ranjana and I welcome you to this video lecture where I will discuss about the second part of the story Lost Spring. As you all know, Lost Spring is written by Anish Jung. In this module, I will be discussing about the explanation of the second part of the story. But first of all, let me discuss about the summary or a short summary of the first part. As I have already discussed that the protagonist of the first part of the story is Sahib-e-Alam. The author examines and analyzes the impoverished conditions and traditions that condemn children to a life of exploitation. These children are denied education and forced into hardships early in their lives. The writer encounters Sahib, a rag picker whose parents have left behind the life of poverty in Dhaka to earn a living in Delhi. His family, like many other families of rag pickers, lives in Simapuri. They do not have other identification other than a ration card. The children do not go to school and they are excited at the prospect of finding a coin or even a 10 rupee note for searching in the garbage. It is the only way of earning a living. They live in impoverished conditions but resign to their fate. The writer is pained to see Sahib-e-Alam, a rag picker whose name means the ruler of universe, lose the spark of childhood and roam barefooted with his friends. From morning to noon, Sahib works in a tea stall and is paid rupees 800 per month. He sadly realizes that he is no longer his own master and this loss of identity weighs heavily on his tender soldier. Then I will move to the second part of the story. Anish Jung here tells about Mukesh, a young boy who wants to be a motor mechanic. In the second part of this story, the headline is I want to drive a car. This is said by Mukesh. The second part deals with the life of Mukesh, who belongs to a family of bangle makers in Firozabad. He dreams about being a motor mechanic one day and has a desire to drive a car. But unfortunately, Mukesh has never been his own master and always insists on being one. He is unaware of the fact that his dream is threatened by the social pressure of being nothing else but a bangle maker. The author shows the pitiful state of 20,000 children who work in the glass industry, losing their childhood along with their eyesight. The living condition and the working environment of these people are completely unacceptable. They remain unknown to the fact that child labor is illegal. Mukesh family comprises of his father, his elder brother and his elder brother's wife. The author sarcastically comments on the eldest member of the family who is an impoverished bangle maker and has failed to renovate his house. He has failed to send his two sons to school, but he has managed to teach them one thing, the art of making bangles. The people here have lost their eyesight and are being with almost no food, but are satisfied only because the identity is their means of survival. There is an old woman in the story. She still has bangles on her wrist, but is with no eyesight. She never had a proper single meal in her entire lifetime. But her husband has no shame in saying that he knows nothing except bangles. Food comes much later in their lives. The focus is always on identity as a bangle maker. There is another one girl, Savita. There is mass destruction of childhood where this Savita, a young girl, is involved in bangle making and working like a machine. She has no idea about the reason why these bangles are worn by married women. It actually symbolizes the Indian women's suhag, the purity in marriage. But Savita would be like the other elder women who now is wearing bangles but with no eyesight. People living here have lost all their hopes. Their endless struggles have made them incapable to dream or to take any initiative for themselves. They are caught up in the poisonous circle of poverty and social stigma. The author feels there is another world besides there which has been creating a problem, and that world of sahukars, politicians, policemen, businessmen, and such. Together, both the world impose the burden of children like Mukesh and Savita. As a result, their dreams get crushed before they even begin. Towards the end of the story, we find Mukesh trying to live his dream. He is willing to walk down the long way to the garage and learn to be a motor mechanic. However, when the author asks him about the dream of flying a plane, Mukesh, in a warmer manner, refuses it. He did not seem to be sad about it at all. He understands the reality very well, that he is satisfied with his dream of cars. In short, he knows his boundaries. He knows till what extent his dream might turn into reality. Though his childhood is almost lost, he understands his level and the stage he is in his life right now. Then I will be explain the short summary of the second part of the story. The author tells about another victim, Mukesh, who wants to be a motor mechanic. Hailing from Firozabad, the center of India's bangle making and glass blowing industry, he has always worked in the glass making industry. His family, like the others, they do not know that it is illegal for children to work in such close proximity to furnaces in such high temperature. They are exposed to various health hazards like losing their eyesight as they work in abysmal conditions in dark and dingy cells. So burdened are the bangle makers of Firozabad that they have lost their ability to dream, unlike Mukesh, who dreams of driving a car. So here in this story, or in the with this two story, the author brings out the depravity of child labor. Childhood is actually considered as spring of human life, full of joy, pleasure and play. But ironically, millions of children like Sahib and Mukesh and Savita, they have lost their spring, that is childhood, by getting engaged in making a living. So that's all the whole story Lost Spring is. So I think you have understood this chapter. So now, thank you. Keep reading, keep listening.